Cool. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Three Thoughts. I am one of your hosts, Bryan Kim. I run a charity called Moderate Majority that keeps veteran families from going homeless, and I am running for the House of Representatives here in Lemon Grove in the 53rd District. I like my dog, who I'm sure you'll see walking around, and I'm a big fan of socialism and universal health care. And right up next is...
Hi, my name's Lauren, and I was born and raised here in San Diego, and I've just worked small jobs as a barista, and just as of recently, I'm recently excited to say that Brian, right here, who is my friend, just recruited me as a volunteer recruiter for his campaign. And now we're doing the podcast, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about stuff.
My name's Ty. I don't really know where to start. I guess it's not that it's a lot about me. I just think a lot. I'm probably one of the best rappers on the planet. I'm also a rapper. It's like
dialogue.
I can almost vouch for that.
Oh, thank you. Shit. Well, yeah. I'm just into art, multimedia, and stuff. So, I'm glad to be here, and this is cool.
All right, up first is today's icebreaker. Thailand, take it away.
All right, I was thinking, if you had the power to create your own planet, what kind of beings would you want on it, or explain your planet in general? How would it be on there? How would it look? How would the people be? What kind of culture do you think would spring up?
Okay, am I designing this planet like I'm a god with the powers over it, or am I just imagining an ideal kind of world?
I think the first one's more interesting. Like a god, if you're just putting shit together.
Okay, so if I was a god, I think I would set up a bunch of different planets so I could indulge in all of the aspects of my personality. I think I definitely try to build a technological utopia full of happy, self-aware creatures who didn't necessarily know that I was real, but who through faith and trust and good effort, try to rebuild an ideal human race. You know what I mean? In an ideal human society. And then I think somewhere tucked in the far corner, and I probably wouldn't fuck with most things too much. I would try to make one ideal planet. But somewhere in the darkest corners of the galaxy, I would definitely have an old school planet where I am the blood god, and it's just a planet of war and sacrifice and battle. And I think that would just be fun and fantastic.
That was very creative. Yeah. Way to know yourself,
there's
an
old school plug. There's a video game called Black and White where you play as the god over a series of planets with a creature avatar, and you can feed them or punish them. You can allow them to sacrifice animals, or you can make them sacrifice each other. Depending on your mood, it's very fun or very terrifying.
I love that game too, by the way. That game's sick.
If I were to answer that, if I were to create my own, you said planet or world, and there could be beings of my own. I had that power to do that. I would definitely have a solar system type thing going on, because I'm very scenic. I like being in the presence of beauty at all times. So I'd probably have a lot of planets everywhere, and every planet would probably have a different scenery. There'd be a forest, there'd be a beach. I'm sure there would be chaos on one planet, so I understand where you're coming from, where you just want to go somewhere to fuck shit up, and that just... Yeah, that just needs to be there too.
Road trip to Planet Beach,
right?
We're out,
yeah. And then people of my choosing can visit if you want to. So just keep that in mind, everybody. That's all I gotta say.
All right, so mine, I'm not sure. I have to base it on my human imagination now, I guess. So I think more about I guess like you said too, technologically advanced. One of your planets? It would be pretty much a technological type planet that's also what's the word? There would be plants literally everywhere. There'd be skyscrapers, right? But then there'd be big ass gardens on top of the skyscrapers or shit like that. it'd be coexisting plant life and human life, like, perfectly, I guess. Maybe.
So like
But-
an eco-sustainable, like,
Yeah.
techno planet.
Yeah. And I would just kind of, like, leave the people alone. Like, I would throw, like, curveballs and shit like that to see how they react to it. But I'd pretty much kind of, like, leave them alone and see how they, like, act. Like, if I do this or I do this, but just small changes or, like, small, like, curveballs, like I said before.
Do you feel okay allowing suffering, like, when you're the god and you have the power to prevent it?
Well, I think I'm who I am today because, like, of, like, almost, like, I wouldn't say suffering. That seems like a strong word, right?
But I mean, there is suffering. So, like, think about it. It's like if you have, like, a naturally, like, this planet, right? Like, just for example, you have, like, kids in Africa whose, like, whole life is being born with HIV in a place that doesn't have enough money or healthcare to take, or food to take care of them. And they just kind of live short lives in pain and hunger and die. And it's like, you know, I get, like, adults going through trials and, like, you know, how, like, when you're, like, if you have, like, even food enough to fucking fight back, like, how that kind of makes you a better person. But, like, you know, I'm talking about, like, that kind of suffering, you know? Like, 'cause he seems, like, super fucked up, like, even on the worst planet to, like, let shit like that happen, you know? I don't know.
As a human, I'd, like, like, of course I'd try to stop it, but, like, I just, like, can't really be, like, as a god, I'd be like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not really sure, to be honest. But,
like, would you be able to enjoy your job being omnipresent everywhere, like fighting crime? Like, is that even what you want to be doing?
You would have to, like, get real, like, used to it, maybe. Like, you'd have to live a long time. And you'd be like, okay.
And
like,
just be like,
Well,
you know what, man, I've
start
seen...
a business, maybe.
Because,
and you
like-
hire other people to watch everything.
it's other gods.
That's why he made Angels, right? Because it's a lot of fucking
my
work,
God.
but that's how all the shit
Can't
goes
escape
wrong, isn't it?
capitalism,
Wow.
apparently.
There's a high... It doesn't have to be capitalism, it's just a hierarchy, though. It's like, yo, if you're the omnipresent god, but you also can't put... It's like the Eye of Sauron, right? Where it's
Nobody would enjoy
you can
doing
see
that.
everywhere, but not all at once. It's like,
Yeah.
you have to have, like, assistant eyes then, like, kind of
Yeah.
looking out for you, you know what I mean?
At the end of the day, I wouldn't want everyone to just, like, just be happy, just to experience just happiness. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's weird.
Yeah.
Like, I would want them to experience multiple emotions or the range so that they can appreciate the one that they want to appreciate the most, I guess. Maybe,
Yeah.
depending. Like, oh, I just
Would you
love
rather
being jealous.
appreciate, like, terrible awfulness? Or would you
can I be
rather
jealous of
appreciate
next?
having lots of money? That's what I'm saying, man. You gotta have, like, one beautiful utopian planet, and it's like, and there's, like, one planet, though, it's like blood for the blood god. Like, that seems right.
That's just gonna be a target for, like, the other planet, though. Like, the other planet's gonna be like, we're tired of just fighting here.
Right. It's like,
Well,
yo,
I
let's
mean-
stop fighting each other. It's like, see, but if
A
I'm really the
lovely
blood
place to
god, though,
fight.
I'll show up and be like, yo, he's preaching unity. Fucking murder him. There can be no unity, there is only blood. And then I'll fucking, like, blight the crops for a year there, and, like, nothing will grow.
Oh,
and in
that's
the midst of the starvation, they'll fucking sacrifice him, and then I'll make the rains come.
I
And the
guess
cattle
that's-
return, because there is blood for the blood god, and you will be taken cared for. But without
God.
blood, the blood god goes thirsty.
Blood is like a scary word, like when you keep saying it. Blood, blood, blood. Like, shit.
No, that's like one of the whole themes of that. It's mostly a joke. There's that theme from that book, the Black Monday Murders, where it's all about the, like, the only way that the people on Earth got power is by sacrificing other people.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's like how all the Wall Street bankers and shit made all their money, which I think is a very good metaphor. Cool, welcome back everybody. On today's podcast, we're going to be talking about two titans of hip hop and rap, Jay-Z and Kanye West. We're looking at them for a couple reasons. The biggest one is 444 just dropped, as I'm sure everybody knows. I hope y'all have gotten a chance to listen to it, because we're going to be talking about it a lot today. But beyond that, I think it's really important to take a look at them as cultural figures, because for good or bad, a lot of Americans really look at Jay-Z and Beyonce and Kanye and Kim not only as business people and celebrities and artists, but they look at them as like role models, as human beings, and as like relationship role models. So over the course of today, we're going to be talking about a couple different things. Ty's going to lead us through the history of Jay-Z and Kanye, and we're going to talk a little bit about their relationship. Lauren is going to take an in-depth look at their spouses, Kim Kardashian and Beyonce. And I will close up with a left-wing review that rakes Jay-Z over the coals for 444, and Lauren and Ty will tell me how wrong I am.
Let's do it.
Cool. Take us away, Ty.
All right, so I guess I'll start off with Kanye, even though Jay-Z came first, right? Kanye used to make beats. Everyone knows this. He still makes beats. But he made beats for Rockefeller, and he's made beats for like pretty much everyone on Rockefeller, including Jay-Z. Made beats for Nas before he was a rapper, like, and he was pretty successful in it, but he always wanted to be a rapper, apparently. And Jay-Z didn't. I hear that Jay-Z didn't quite believe in him at first.
No shit.
And it was Dame Dash who signed Kanye, and then Jay-Z grew to like, he was just like, oh shit, you know. Yeah. So you know, everybody knows Jay-Z. Jay-Z's like from Marcy Projects. And fucking everybody knows Jay-Z. I'm not really sure where to start on him. He's like, what is it, 13 number one albums now, something like that. Every album he's ever came out with was number one. Everybody knows Biggie, you know, and where Jay-Z gets his like, how do you say, like, his style.
Yeah, it's like
he's
cult,
very
like his kind of
inspired
hip hop
by
culture.
Biggie,
Is like
yeah.
New York Biggie, like hip hop culture.
Yeah. And so yeah, that's basically when they met, when Kanye got signed and put out his first album. Not when they met, but that's when they like got people imagined them as a thing, you know what I'm saying? Or imagined them as connected, right? I guess there are a lot of songs that explain it as well. Like you could listen to like the Diamonds remix, or like Big Brother. Big Brother's a good one. Big Brother is on. I forgot what album now. Like his third one, I think. Graduation.
It's all good. There's like third, yeah, right?
Yeah, yeah. So all his albums were number one too, but I think he only has like 6 or 7. But yeah. So Big Brother basically explains like Jay-Z and how Kanye feels about Jay-Z, and how basically Jay-Z kind of like not really like looked down on him, but it was more like Kanye looking up to Jay-Z and like following Jay-Z's footsteps and like kind of feeling ignored and stuff like that. So that's a really good song. I don't know if you guys heard it and stuff. Big Brother.
Yeah.
It's sick. So then yeah, they came out with Run This Town.
Yeah.
And that, I think that was like the first moment where like, okay,
Blueprint-
shit, we might get an
Blueprint number 3.
album. Yeah. And then so the album, Watch the Throne, which is one of my favorite albums. I honestly think that Jay-Z, his verses on there like are amazing, and he stole the fucking show. Like Kanye's beats and his production always great and stuff, but lyrically he couldn't like
keep up.
You know? Yeah, so it's like, it's one of my favorite albums, but it's like not one of my favorite albums from Jay and not one of my favorite albums from Kanye, if that makes any sense. Yeah, but I like that that duo thing, like the duality, like that they have, like the what's the word?
The dialectical relationship.
Dialectical relationship that they have. They remind me. Well, they say this, so I guess it's like part of like the thing.
Like their mythology.
Yeah, they talk about Socrates and Plato, and you know, Plato being like Kanye and Jay-Z being like Socrates, or sometimes Jay-Z would talk about it like he's Plato and Biggie's Socrates. You know, so it's like very interesting, just like teacher student kind of like, and I wouldn't even say teacher student, just like, I'm just gonna say teacher student right now. Yeah, you know, for lack of a better way to say it. I like that cool relationship that they have, but they're pretty much, they seem like they're beefing now. I heard that during like Watch the Throne, during the recording of it, they actually like fist fought in the hotel that they were recording in.
Man.
No shit. What over?
They're probably just
Music?
like drunk and like yelling at each other. I don't know. I can picture
It's
it
business.
being kind of hard to live with Kanye for that long.
No.
But like, I like Kanye and stuff like a lot, but
No, man, he's a genius voice. He seems a lot like Axl Rose, where it's like, man, what if talented artist, but I'm sure you're insufferable to be around. Like,
yeah, he's probably
Very
like,
hot-headed.
Yeah, like I could see him being like very fun to hang out with, like literally anywhere, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
But to live with him for a while would kind of be like, I don't know, he might be a really strange guy. I always imagine him to be, but yeah, also I like him, no shade and shit.
Yeah.
Just like being honest. And so yeah, they fist fought, I heard, but I'm not sure if that's true. What is true is that Kanye, Jay-Z, and Beyonce weren't at Kanye and Kim's wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
When was this?
I forget. And I'm pretty sure.
Is this
It's
before? Because Kanye was just on. Are you gonna talk about like Kanye on stage yelling about Jay-Z?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was like, I think he said something about them being invited and not coming to the wedding, and that he had a problem with that, and that whole rant is crazy. Like, I don't know, he
Yeah,
said, don't
dude.
send
I'm
your
sure
haters.
it
I'm
has
like,
something
what?
to do
Is
with
that
Kim
deep?
Kardashian's previous marriage of only lasting 72 days and settling out of court with $5 million having to be involved.
Shit.
Maybe he didn't want to endorse something like that. And neither did Beyonce or Jay-Z as a collective couple.
And that's where we are now. Like, we're probably never gonna get a Watch the Throne
Yeah.
2 with Jay-Z and Kanye on it for a while. Would be very interesting. I hope this is all fake and it's just like a plan to put out Watch the Throne 2.
Dude, that's what I was gonna ask you. So I was like, because like you look at Jay-Z, like you think back to like Lemonade, right? And it's like how Beyonce goes on Tidal, this like platform that her husband like owns. You know what I mean? And like makes this whole thing about like how he cheated on her and how their like relationship is on the rocks, and like at the same time she's she's releasing it exclusively through his thing. So how on the rocks are you if you're promoting Tidal with this album about him cheating? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how much are you
Yeah.
just like, are they like, you know what I mean? Like, do you think Kanye and Jay-Z are like selling this fight?
Well, when I think about it, I'm like literally like I would do that. Like I would rap about my life, and if I ended up cheating on my girl and stayed with her and stuff, I would rap about it. Like that's me. So I don't know.
And people just eat it up and they buy it.
Yeah. What I wouldn't
And
do
no
is
shit,
make
we're
a
talking
fake
about it,
story.
right?
I wouldn't make like a fake story about it and shit. But yeah. I don't know if they did.
Yeah.
But
So
I
what? Okay.
think-
So what about on 444 when Jay-Z says it's like you gave Kanye 20 million, and he basically gave me like a slap, and it's like he gave me 20 minutes on stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's that 20 million he's talking about?
I'm actually not sure.
Is that like, because I was reading this thing about...
I think I don't know if he just gave him like raw $20 million.
No, it was something about the music with Tidal, because Kanye was like gonna sign with Apple, and then Jay-Z gave him like, offered him $20 million to fucking stick with him, and then Kanye got up on stage and kind of like fucking shot himself in the foot by going off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're having like personal problems, because like Kim Kardashian like either got robbed or like said she got robbed in Paris. You know what I mean? And when
Did that end up being a lie?
I have no idea,
I never
because they
looked
were
into
some
that
people
one
were
side.
saying that like it was all bullshit, but Kanye was on fucking stage and he was like, you didn't even call me after she got robbed, like you don't even care about my wife, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
I don't know. It seems like Kim Kardashian's just notorious for publicity stunts and,
Sure. Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know. I like Kanye too. Like
Yeah.
I think he has really good intentions, and he's just doing him, and he wants to do good for people. He just fails to take advantage of like what he has at hand to do it in the appropriate way, and the way that we need it to be done. So he advocates for it.
I can see that, but like, also on the other side, like most people I talk to, they're like, "Oh, you're such a Kanye fan," blah blah blah. And I really think I'm honestly being as unbiased as I can, right?
Huh.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like your reason for hating him sucks or something like that. Like when I'm talking to a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, I hate Kim's a hoe." Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Right?
Shit like that.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. That
exactly.
shouldn't matter. That shouldn't even be a word.
And I'm like,
Get-
chill, but they're like, "You're just a Kanye fan." But it's like,
You're just a
What do they?
Gigolo.
When do they? What do you say that gets them to say that?
well, it's just defending him. So it's like anything, you know. Like if you could look up Kanye right now, Kanye West is racist. you're gonna get it on both ends. Kanye West is racist against white people because blah blah blah. Kanye West is racist against black people because blah blah blah. Whoever you argue with just assumes you're on you're on that side, you know? You're not on my side, you're on that side. Yeah, so whenever I talk about Kanye, it's like that. But this, like, I could defend him a lot with a lot of shit. But this last, and I'm going to defend him a little bit too now, but the last rant that he had, this 20-minute rant, I did not agree with. Like,
what was the rant about?
Like, he said something too, it was about like Jay-Z and.
Well, he had some good shit where he was talking shit about like the music industry and like how the artists, like, you know, we're the ones that fucking people come to see, but, you know, like, we don't even own our own fucking music, and there's all these like problems of, you know, the not ripping off just new artists, but even like, established artists like Kanye having trouble like being in control of their own music and career. And I thought some of that shit was on point, but like, you know, man, I don't really like, I don't know him and Jay-Z, you know,
in it too, right?
Yeah,
doesn't
like,
he?
Yeah,
he says something like that, and I didn't like where he's going. But in his defense, the only time I didn't like his rant really, he went straight from that rant to a hospital. Like, he was going through psychosis during this time.
Yeah, or he's like having like it's part of like a breakdown or like a freak out.
Yeah, so like, I feel like what you were saying too, like Kanye does have, you know, good intentions, but it's just, you know, he has mental illnesses too, and like stuff like that, so it's really hard to really
it's
judge
like
him.
Exactly. It's like, people should be asking themselves, like, why do I really hate this person?
Yeah.
Like, is this right? Do I even know enough about them to be making these judgments about them?
I think you need a great reason to hate someone. Like, you need like, if you hate someone and spread it, like, it's got to be something that, like, you want everybody to not be this way, you know, because it helps the world.
And I will, like, and especially like when you talk about like defending Kanye, like when you said that, you know, he hates white people thing, it makes me think of that like great moment where he's on the Hurricane Katrina broadcast and like, you know, the thing I respect about Kanye is that he tells the truth as he sees it, and even if it's not particularly like well developed or thought out, like, you know, he takes these moments that he has to call out he uses his platform to very aggressively call out white supremacy in a way that makes like a lot of white people and a lot of like polite society uncomfortable. Because you're not supposed to use the VMAs to talk about how black artists don't get the respect that like white artists and Taylor Swift do. Like, you're not supposed to use this fundraiser about Hurricane Katrina to talk about how the media portrays black people, but like Kanye West is like, you know, I hate the way it's like all everybody remembers is that, you know, George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Like, it's coming out of this like activist like mindset, which is just like, it's cool. Like, that's cool. Like, that's empowering.
And that's a good thing to have.
He is right in what he is saying, and it matters.
Yeah.
And it totally matters.
Because people forget that he begins that by saying, you know, I hate the way they make us look in the media. Yeah. When a white family's getting food, they say that they're foraging. When a black family's getting food, it says that they're looting. And the core of his commentary is on the racial situation in New Orleans. But, you know, he's not fucking Cornel West. He didn't get a doctorate in like American race relations. Exactly. And he doesn't know to phrase it that way. But man, I don't get him as a person and an artist, but like, you know, man, for him as a black dude to use his platform like that, I actually have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. You know, when he was a child, that he moved to China with his mother for over a year so she could teach, and he learned Chinese.
Kanye West does no shit.
Well, probably not anymore, but when he was 10 years old.
Fuck, man, that's actually pretty impressive.
Supposedly learned really fast. I had his mother's book. His mom has a book. Really? My mom actually gave it to me. My mom's a teacher.
Oh, that's so cool! You guys have like the same dynamic.
Yeah, it's very similar.
It's like, yo, and that's why Ty's gonna be famous because of his mama.
Check out his SoundCloud, Die for Ty Radio.
Die for Ty Radio. All right, we'll be right back. Cool. All right, welcome back to part 2 of our discussion of Kanye and Jay-Z. Up next is a discussion led by Lauren about their significant others, Beyonce and Kim. I think it's really important to talk about them in the context of Jay-Z and Kanye because so much of both of them portray their wives as like ideal women and their relationship with them as models for the ideal relationship. So here to talk more about that is Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and what I'm going to talk about is the basis of which the relationships of these, successful men and these women was founded on, and why people look up to these women, and also be looking at the couple and how they work as a unit. So I wanted to dive into a little bit of history on Beyonce for maybe some of you guys who don't know as much about her early history. She was 7 years old. She started singing and songwriting in Houston, Texas, and she, became one of the most successful, top-selling music artists in American history, as far as I know of, I think. And sorry. It's just like, my writing is so scribbled. It really is. My notes are just wild. I think that's what computers are for, and typing things out first. And when she first met Jay-Z, I don't know when, but when they first came together and started putting out content was in 2002 with this project called Bonnie and Clyde. And from then on, after that, Beyonce ended up leaving Destiny's Child and started pursuing her own solo career. And she came out with Crazy in Love, Deja Vu, and other singles, and with Halo, and that was on some other album, I can't remember. But they really did grow into one of the most powerful couples in Hollywood, and they both have a net worth combined of over like $10 billion or something like that, right?
They are worth $1.16 billion combined.
1.16. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I was like, God damn.
and we all know it should be more. Damn it! But can we cuss on the radio show? Okay, good. All right.
Pretty sure I said fuck quite a bit in the last one. So.
It all blends together nowadays. Okay. And then a little bit about Kim Kardashian, who I'm sure we all know a lot about.
I don't know anything about Kim Kardashian.
Well, we all know about her finest feature. Let's not all neglect that. But really, honestly, through this research, though, I have a lot more respect for her than I thought originally.
Huh.
Because just the way that she's kind of kept herself afloat with her activity and just making sure that she is in the spotlight, and regardless of what it is. And but what did help her out was going back to her early history is her father he was a lawyer of O.J. Simpson in his trial, and ever since then her family has always been in the spotlight, and they just come from a family of wealth, so they had a lot of money to invest in things. So you could say that her family was like a good symbol, or is a good symbol of entrepreneurship in America nowadays, and utilizing the television, the cell phone, and all that. Like starting with after she was friends with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie and being a style consultant, she moved on to marrying this she got engaged to this NBA player, and throughout their engagement, there came a TV show out of it. She had a perfume called Kardashian Love, and that kind of matched what her wedding theme was going to be. So she made a lot of money off of advertising a wedding.
Yeah, and she used her wedding to launch
that's smart.
products. Yeah.
That's smart as hell. It just really is. And they ended up getting, I don't remember his name. I feel so bad because I should know his name.
He doesn't matter. He's just Kim Kardashian's
I'm not
husband.
I'm not talking take all this information as you will about her. I'm trying to come from an unbiased standpoint. I'm not judging. I'm just saying what I know about her. And after they were married for 72 days, they got a divorce. She therefore did get a $5 million settlement out of court for that. So we know she had more money to invest in her clothing line and into the keeping up with the Kardashians. And her mother also married that Olympian player who is now Kris Jenner, as we all know. And then she met Kanye through Keeping Up with Kardashians, and they had a 2-year relationship on and off, and then they announced they were a thing. And I mean, I feel like Beyonce and Jay-Z and Kim and Kanye, they both go very well together, because Kim Kardashian, she was always in the spotlight, and Kanye, as of recently, has always been in the spotlight with the whole Taylor Swift scandal or the George Bush scandal and these phenomenons that have happened. Like, they are famous for being famous and being phenomenons, as opposed to Beyonce and Jay-Z, where they are deep rooted in music, and that is their passion is music, and being and trying to be politically active and advocating for, you know, the working class, the people who they're trying to target their music with. I'm sure on both sides it is very debatable on what these couples are trying to do and which couple's better or who's more the better power couple. But I'm sure those feuds happen. But I think the questions we should be asking ourselves is just why are they famous? Like, why do we actually like these couples? What do we actually do? And you know, just being more aware of just these famous people that we endorse and that we support and give our money to, and not, you know, idolize them. And because what are they doing to actually help? I have respect for these people, but as far as, you know,
spoiler alert is that at least Jay-Z and Beyonce are not doing a whole lot. I'll save some of that to talk about later, but
yeah, that was diving into something we were going to talk about.
The thing that I thought was interesting was it's like, you know, the big difference between like I would even say Kim Kardashian and the other three of them is that, like, I don't know what Kim Kardashian's personal talents are beyond hiring good people and surrounding herself with people who are better at her job than she is. Like, because you think about Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Kanye, they all are musicians, they all are artists, and like they are all like kind of legends in music in their own right. And what is she a legend in other than being a Kardashian?
I think you can't just answer that question as simply as that, because, you know, you do bring up a good point. Is this Kim Kardashian who is making her career, or does she just come from a family of wealth that have just hired the people and she's just a puppet? She's just a cute ass puppet with a fat ass.
She does have a great ass.
She does.
That's an objective fact. That's not an opinion, that's a
I
fact.
don't know these people. I can't say I hate them, but
I love Beyonce. Like, Beyonce's awesome. There's like, to me, the
Kim Kardashian.
greatest. Huh? Oh no, I was gonna.
She's
get
underlooked, man. I'm just kidding. No, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No shade to Kim, but yeah, I love Beyonce. I think the best performer, like one of the best performers I've seen, was like Michael Jackson, and Beyonce is like the only performer out now to me that can even hold up, like could even be close. Like, she'll dance in heels for like fucking 3 hours, like perfectly. Doesn't miss a step, doesn't miss like any fucking thing. She's like perfect when it comes to that shit. So she's like very, very talented.
She's incredibly talented.
Yeah, like she deserves all the success like she gets from it and stuff. Now, Kim, I don't know, like you said, I don't know if she has any talents or whatever, so I can't really speak on what she's good at or whatever, because I'm really not sure. So I guess I could just put it like that. I can say that I hate when people hate on her. And I like her. Like, she's like nice, it seems like. You know, she doesn't seem like, I don't know, she didn't say anything too
Aren't her
crazy.
clothes made in sweatshops in Bangladesh? How is that nice?
I didn't know that. Like, I don't really know.
Because Beyonce got a bunch of shit because like a bunch of the clothing that she makes was made in sweatshops. And, you know, she can always pretend that she doesn't know, but it's like, let's be real, like, it doesn't matter whether or not you know. Like, isn't it your job? You're the one in charge of this company.
No, that's your name. That is your rapport.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, as far as like debating on like, well, who's the better performer, who's the better artist, or who's doing this? Oh, but they did this and they did that. But when it comes down to like, what have they actually done that's like physical in other people's lives, and what they are actually capable of doing with the money they have, it just shows you where their values are at. It's exactly what Bryan's speech was, which you guys should totally watch. It's gonna be, oh no, we didn't record it. dang it,
Yeah.
he's gonna do it again. And then you guys are gonna.
No, I'm gonna talk a lot about. No, I'll talk a lot
Yeah.
more about Jay-Z
I guess-
and Jay-Z and Beyonce and their money specifically.
Yeah, and it's just like they're where they come from and what they stand for. To me, is very important because children are looking up to them. They are being followed by the sheep, so to speak. Of like people who don't know who they are and they are idolizing them and they want to be like them. But it's just like, if you're gonna idolize them so much, please be ready to back up their ethics and their values to show your support for them.
I agree.
And it's just, I feel like, these people need to be asking themselves these questions. Why do you support them?
Mm-hmm.
And is it something as simple as, or you could say as surface, as a great performer, or you can go to something as deep as, like, wasn't Jay-Z and Beyonce, they donated a bunch of money to
1.1 million
to Haiti.
Haiti. They donated to Black Lives Matter. They threw a fundraiser, like a title showcase, and then donated the money to Black Lives Matter.
They have a foundation that sends kids to college, and if you break down the math, it amounts to $1,800 per kid. And if you can find me a college where the tuition's only they do the same kind of foundation work that that most rich celebrities do, where it makes a token impact. It makes a big impact on their taxes, but a very token impact on the community. Because when you actually look at the grant that they gave split up among the 750 kids
say that they always do.
It's most of their philanthropy is just philanthropy for the sake of appearances rather than making systemic or structural change. But
just say that.
I can though, and I'll get into it. But before we do that, and it's like, even if they do, the work that they do to entrench the system of the for-profit system is much, much greater than any work that they do to undermine the for-profit system that actually keeps the majority of the black community underrepresented and impoverished. You know what I mean?
Very complicated though.
It's very complicated. I'm not saying it's not. But before we get off those rails, I wanted to ask what y'all think Kim Kardashian and Kanye stand for, as a relationship. Because when you look at Jay-Z and Beyonce, it's very obvious, because it's it's they're the king and queen of music. They're the successful business owners. They're the model black family, and they have this honesty that goes along with being the baddest bitch in music.
I mean, if you
and
want
the
to
baddest
question,
rapper in music. So what are Kim and what do Kim and Kanye stand for like that? Because that's their vision. Are Kim and Kanye different, or?
I mean, I would, to me,
I don't know.
Because basically what I'm hearing is questioning the legitimacy of the relationship. I think it's false. I think it's for fame. I think they are probably
I wasn't questioning the legitimacy of their relationship. I was questioning. My question is more what kind of, how is the image of the ideal famous black relationship or famous people relationship different than the image is it different than the one that Beyonce and Jay-Z are trying to set up and promote? Or is it the same one of we're rich, we're good at shit, we run things, we have a lot of money? How is it, and if it's different, how is it? Well, I'm not saying that they're they love each other. I'm just saying how is it different like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they like each other. I don't know.
Well, it's not that I don't think that they don't like each other, because
I think the fame does have something to do with why they like each other.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is just they're. I mean, both collectively as a couple, they know that their relationship together is relevant, because they're supposed to be an iconic couple that people look up to, so that they can find their next significant other, and to supposedly fulfill this American dream that they're gonna be like them. What Beyonce and Jay-Z to me are portraying, they really want people to follow their passion and do what they believe they can do. As far as Kim Kardashian and Kanye West goes, I mean, ever since Kanye West went to go visit Donald Trump in the tower, I just think he is doing that for a publicity stunt. Kim Kardashian, she's trying to sell you shit and sell her body and make money off. I think they're very money driven. I think Jay-Z and Beyonce are driven to make people, pursue their dreams because they are inherently good, but they also are inherently making money off the people who are oppressed, and that's what I believe.
I see that. I guess I don't know if you still want me to answer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you have any closing thoughts? Because
Kim and Ye to me are kind of like I think they're both very much into propaganda art in a way. Like they're into Kanye is definitely into art, and he's definitely into propaganda, like projecting his face on walls and shit, and etc. So I think them. I don't think that love is kind of like false though. Like them together as propaganda, I don't think is a false kind of love or whatever. I think they actually like each other, and I think Kanye, I think that's part of like definitely why he likes her, because the manipulation over the media and etc. like propaganda. It's kind of art, like they're art in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I
but
think
Beyonce and Jay-Z too, they're like art. You're like watching, trying to figure
Their
out.
art totally just, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, tell us what you think in the comments below. We'll be right back. All right, and welcome back to the third segment of our Jay-Z and Kanye podcast. I am going to go ahead and do a Marxist critique of 444. So the whole idea of of a Marxist analysis is that, I'm not really going to talk so much about the album as like the music behind it. I'm going to try to talk about like the class content of the album and how it fits into the modern capitalist system, and kind of like whether or not what these guys are promoting is like fundamentally revolutionary, or whether what they're promoting is like kind of fundamentally like reinforcing the capitalist power structure, right? So I want to start off with like a little bit about Jay-Z's class background, which I know Ty and Lauren got into a little bit earlier. So there's a couple like key facts I'm going to start with before I get into the album to kind of like help set the context. So on track number 9, there's a really good line that I think fits the theme of the whole album, which is I grew up in lobbies and now I parley with the Saudis. So my favorite recent investment, and this kind of like demonstrates culturally where Jay-Z's at, he just invested $200 million in this app called Jet Smarter. And it's an app like Uber where you can order private executive jets to come and fly.
What?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, by
Whoa.
app, right? So
That's pretty big.
yeah, I don't know how many fucking friends like you have who could use that app or who could afford to use that app to like to fly from here to LA. You know what I mean? So that kind of tells you where his head is at, who he's like working for, and what he's really trying to like advance the future
sure.
for. Point number 2, Jay-Z and Beyonce are collectively worth, at the time of this review, $1.16 billion. In 2012, Jay-Z made $62 million and only gave away $6,000 to charity.
I heard that.
Yeah, and he got a lot of shade from a guy I'd like to talk about and contrast him with in terms of the class content of their art, is Harry Belafonte. He's real famous. He's most famous in musically for, the Day-O, we say Day-O. He's the guy so he's the guy who wrote the Banana Boat song, and he's like, they call him the father of Calypso because he's the guy who brought that like kind of Caribbean music here. Cool. So back in 1964, Harry Belafonte was like personal friends with Martin Luther King Jr. He gave a bunch of money to MLK's family because MLK only lived on $8,000 a year, which was a preacher's salary. So to help him travel, to help pay for their living expenses, and to help pay for like all of the jail time and the costs associated with the civil rights movement, like Harry Belafonte was giving Martin Luther King money. He brought $60,000 in cash in 1964 to the Mississippi Freedom Summer, where they were first registering black people to vote, so that he could help pay for bails and help pay for help fund the revolution, right? And when they interviewed him about what it's like to be an artist today, he said this, like, it's harder to be an activist because the enemy's not as clear. It's easy when the enemy's like wearing swastikas and marching around in boots and rounding up all the Jews. But today it's a lot harder. And he said the real enemy is unbridled capitalism. The concentration of money in the hands of a very small group is the most dangerous thing that has ever happened in civilization. We are facing an oligarchy of force. Just look at who controls the press. And then they asked him, it's like, do you think that the media is doing enough to represent black people? And he said, no. And he goes on to say, I think one of the greatest abuses of the modern time is that we should have had such high-profile artists, powerful celebrities, but they have turned their back on social responsibility. That goes for Jay-Z and Beyonce, for example. But you give me Bruce Springsteen now, you're talking. I really think he's more black than them. So fucking Harry Belafonte's whole thing here is that
back up. What's the deal
Bruce
with
Springsteen being really black? So Bruce Springsteen is like notoriously famous for singing about labor rights and working class issues. He's got this really famous song called Death to My Hometown off his latest album, for example, that's about like the steel towns that were ravaged by capital. But I don't want to talk too much about Bruce Springsteen. But so that's where Jay-Z's at, and that's where I'm going to go into, because the reality is that if you look at what Jay-Z has done, he has not put enough money or energy either into his own community, and worse, the ideology that he promotes is an ideology of what you call black capitalism. And it's this idea that if black people can just get rich, they'll be able to escape the racial problems of America.
I wouldn't agree with that part at all.
All right, let me go through some of the lyrics and kind of talk about what we got, right? So I want to start with the story of OJ, where he's got this couplet at the beginning where Ty, you just want to read that for me real quick? Just the lyrics.
So the light nigga, dark nigga, faux nigga, real nigga, rich nigga, poor nigga, house nigga, field nigga.
Right. Okay, yeah. Cool. So if you look at the pairings across the two lines, you see light paired with rich, you see dark paired with poor, you see faux paired with house, and you see real paired with field, right? Mm-hmm. So the historical context of this is a really famous speech by Malcolm X where he talks about the house Negro and the field Negro. And it's a speech about black leadership in the civil rights movement, and it's a comparison, it's a metaphor from slave times. And what Malcolm X says is that back in slavery there were two types of slaves. There were the house Negroes, the ones who were they were generally lighter skinned, they did the easier work, they were often the sex slaves or kind of the pets, and they were the favorites of the master, and they were the ones who would do whatever the master wanted. And Malcolm jokes that it's when the master's sick, they're the ones who say, oh lordy, we're sick. They're so closely identified, mm-hmm. right? Whereas and it's that same pairing, right? So his whole point of bringing this up is that it doesn't matter whether you're light or dark or fake or rich. It's white America's always going to look at you as a black man. Mm-hmm. But the reality there then is that getting money and this strategy of generational wealth that he talks about in Legacy is not going to bring about fundamental changes for black America, because even if you're rich and black under capitalism, you're still black, right? Mm-hmm. The idea of and he goes on to be you want to know what's more important than throwing money away at the strip club? Credit. You ever wonder why Jewish people own all the property in America? This is how they did it. And it's this idea, though, that financial escape as a method of combating racial prejudice, it's undercut at by the beginning thing where it's it doesn't matter if you make it, you're still just a rich black man, right? Mm-hmm. And his whole idea is that the best you can hope for in America is to be the black bourgeoisie, because there's no escaping being black. And unlike the coup or Lupe Fiasco, there's no revolutionary promise of an end to racism and an end to class inequality. Your options are be like Jay-Z or be jealous of Jay-Z. In Smile, he says, far as draft picks, my name didn't get called, but you bet before I go, I put $1 billion on the board. So this is a metaphor for like, you know, him originally not getting having trouble getting signed, and him comparing that to athletes who have trouble getting picked up by a professional team. But his scoreboard is having $1 billion. And what he's talking about here is not just like getting signed, it's life. So for him, the scoreboard of life is literally fucking money. And he goes on to peddle this idea, right? The music is ours, brothers only own houses. Ours was fuck you, pay me, but now it's fuck paying me, I pay you. So his inversion is not all people on the bottom are gonna rise up. His inversion is now I'm on the top and you can follow me. And he goes, that blood money, I giggle at it. Can't even support my Mrs. Habit, she's jewelry shopping in Paris. All y'all jewelers should be embarrassed. Blood diamonds dripping with guilt, but I ain't tripping, that's life. Winners and losers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's like, so the idea that you can joke about blood diamonds as like a black man in America seems really fucked up to me. Because these blood diamonds are fucking brought from the thing.
They've mentioned blood diamonds a lot.
And then he goes on to say like, Nabels will rip your shit off title just to spite you. What did I do except try to free you? But it's like, what has Jay-Z really done to free black people beyond peddle a lifestyle of money in which he's hanging out with Saudi princes, building apps for people who fucking ride around on like Uber for rich people who want to hire private jets, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna end by ending on these last lines and then contrasting it with what Fred Hampton said, where he goes, there's no such thing as an ugly billionaire, I'm cute. Fuck rap and crack cocaine. We already did that, but we need black-owned things. 100% black-owned champagne, and we merrily eating off these streams, like the revenue streams, right? Mm-hmm. What's better, and this is like goes back to what I was saying about Beyonce and Jay-Z. What's better than one billionaire? Two, especially if they're from the same hue as you, right? Mm-hmm. And this is at the core of what's wrong with the ideology, because like the thing that Fred Hampton said is that you can't fight capitalism with black capitalism, and there's a part of Jay-Z that knows that, you know what I mean, where even if you're rich, black and white, like, you know, I'm not black, I'm OJ, it's like, fuck you dude, you're still black
all the time.
And it's like, and he goes, so Fred Hampton, it goes, you know, you don't fight black capital or capitalism with black capitalism, you fight it with socialism. And he's got this really good one where he goes, you know, you got black holidays like Black Christmas, Black April Fools, and Black Easter, and black business, and the only people they help is the black businessman. So he goes, if anybody comes into our community with a program that's not for the benefit of the people, then I'll grab them by their collared neck and beat them to death with a Black Panther paper. And that's the kind of like attitude that's actually going to, I think, free people. And that's why I think from a class standpoint, I think this is a very like reprehensibly messaged album. And I would love for everyone in the comments to tell me that I'm wrong. Let's start with Ty.
So like, listening to rap, I'm kind of like not getting the same exact vibe. It's like, so I didn't like Jay-Z at first when I was younger. Like I thought he always talked about money too much and women and driving cars and blah blah blah. And then listening to him more, it started to seem like, okay, like there's something else behind this. This is like, he's not just saying that he's like better, you know what I mean? And he's not just saying that he's better in that way. He's saying it literally in every single way. The stuff about money just stands out because he's rich and who he is. But you know, he's always bragging about like rap. Like he's always bragging about like what he's doing. Like bragging is being the best is like a part of rap and hip hop.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right?
No, and I get that. No, I totally agree with that.
The money just happens to be part of the scoreboard as it exists, as the world exists right now. And like, it's funny because like in that song just now, the Open Letter song, I just saw like a cool like quotable. Like he said, I would have brought the Nets to Brooklyn for free, but I made $1 million off it. So what the fuck, whatever. So like I see like you're not wrong at all, right? But it's hard for me to like be too mad at him because like he's just like straight from the hood, like watching your friends die, having to sell crack, like. When it comes to getting out of that situation, like you might want to do anything, even if it was a mistake, where like to You know what I mean? Like
and it's like, and he is like, and he's always been like, and I get that like the bragging and like the I'm the best at the game thing is like part of it, because it's like, but you know, like there's like Immortal Technique does that exact same thing while also like building this message of like race and class solidarity, because he goes like, Immortal Technique's the guy like, in contrast to like what's better than a billionaire too, especially if they're from the same hue as you, he goes like, I have more in common with most working class white folks than I do with most rich Black and Latino folks, because as he goes, it's not in our culture to like, poverty is not a part of our culture. That's just what white America and what capitalism try to sell us. And we're actually a culture that's rich in resources and like art, but all of that shit's commodified by the capitalist system. And it's just like, you know, Jay-Z's got the money to buy copies of like fucking the Communist Manifesto. Like, you know, he could read and learn this shit and like be Huey Newton if he wanted to, like, but they'd rather dress Beyonce up like Huey Newton and have her play at the Super Bowl for money.
Jay-Z,
you know,
rap, a lot of it used to be like, say, like homophobic, for instance, right?
Yeah, and Immortal Technique's got a lot of homophobia in his rap.
That takes a while. All right, so yeah, that takes a while to change something like that too. And Jay-Z on this new album, even though he has had sexist lyrics or has had, you know, those kind of lyrics on this specific album, with like, he's not dead yet, you know, he's still growing, and you can tell in this album that there's like, not only is there no homophobia, there's like an ode to like his mother and the movie Moonlight.
Positive.
Like, yeah. Like,
well, and honestly, like the thing I did want to say, and like one of the most redemptive moments was like, he talked very honestly about like Beyonce's miscarriage and like trying to be there for her during that. And that's like a very, that's like not, that's one of those things that's like hard to talk about, like, you know, no matter how much money you have and like what circles you're in, like that's a hard thing to go through and a hard thing to make public. And especially like most men don't kind of take on the role or the task of discussing that and like discussing how you deal with that as a man being there for the woman. And I actually thought that that was like a very like feminist, like pro-woman message to have in the song, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I get that, but it's like, you know, even when you look at like the thing about his mom coming out of the closet, where it's like, you know, what is his message of what is the message of defiance that he puts in her mouth from history? It's not, you know, like, I have a dream that all love will be equal. It's, yo, let the haters eat cake. And you know, like that quote comes from the French princess who, they come to her and they're like, yo, the peasants have no bread. And she's like, well, fuck them, let them have cake then. Damn. You know, and that's how out of touch, and it's like a symbol of how out of touch Marie Antoinette was as a rich person when the peasants are starving. So, like, even in his historical metaphors, like, it's, he doesn't quote from the dudes who guillotined Marie Antoinette. He quotes from the rich queen who, like, whose indolence and, like, selfishness caused the revolution. Yeah. And I wonder, like, if he gets that or not.
He might not even, like understand, like, I don't know, like, he hasn't,
you know, but
like, I'm pretty sure he's like a very smart dude, like probably a genius or whatever.
So let me ask you,
a lot of us are, I'll say, like, he hasn't had the chance to like go to college or any university or anything like that. So like Kanye, for instance, like, he can say what he feels, but he might not have the words to express it. And like, it might be the same with Jay, even though he comes off like very confident and smart, like he might not have the way to explain everything he can. Like, I don't know.
Do you think it's fair to judge art based on the artist's life outside? Like,
well, do you want to answer the first question real quick, or like answer this question?
What was the first question? I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's cool.
What was the first question?
I think it wasn't so much of a question. It's like, did you have any thoughts about like the album or like?
Well, I didn't get a chance to listen to the album.
Oh, true.
I think I mentioned that. But what question were you gonna ask?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like, do you think it's fair to judge art like based on the artist? Like,
judge art based on the artist?
Like, do you think it's fair to hold his classic?
Well, I mean, I think you shouldn't judge it and like hold animosity like towards the artist and like develop like I don't know. It's like, you can't, I think that's what it's there for. Art is there to it's there because an artist is trying to express some part of themselves and make it physical, and it is there so you can analyze it, try to understand it, and it's a piece, and it can be, and then, you know, there is some worth that we put to it, but it's mostly what the artist, like, I think that it is. I mean, as far as like something tangible like a piece, but I mean something as far as music and stuff like that, I mean, you can judge it all you like, and you're allowed to hold any belief that you have towards an artist. As far as their art goes, I mean, is it fair to do it? Well, I mean, their art's there to be judged anyways, so that's
I think it's fair. Like, I think it's fair to do either way. Like it was just, there's no right way to do it, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's okay to, like, if you don't like the artist's personality, I can see that affecting the art anyway. Like, I don't even think anybody would really have a choice, you know? Like
you're allowed to like certain aspects of an artist, but you're allowed to dislike certain aspects of an artist. Yeah. Like, as far as doing this research as far as doing the research for Kim Kardashian, I mean, I didn't really care about her as much a couple days ago, but just doing research from last night and this morning and knowing, like, kind of like where she came from and maybe have some type of empathy from the background she came from, and then watching her show and seeing what she has accomplished. I like some things about her, and I dislike some things about her. It's, you know, and that's all I can say. And I can say that with any other artist I like. That's
cool.
it.
Cool. All right, right on. We will be right back with our wrap up. Cool, everybody. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions, definitely leave them below. Tune in next week where we're going to be talking about cults, and we're all very excited about it. And if you like what we're doing, kick some money to our Patreon or to our PayPal and help us make more fantastic content like this. Cool. I've been Bryan Kim.
And Lauren Frame.
I'm Ty. Die for Ty, motherfucking join my cult. Yeah, episode 1. Yeah.
See you guys.